As I share the point of doing this, and many of you guys may or may not know, but having run the Actors Network, having founded it and run it for nearly 24 years, I was consistently standing in a room with folks. Now this is a different room, but it's still the same thing. And my desire to always express a lot of information sometimes gets the best of me because I confuse folks sometimes by doing that. So I am adjusting a little bit, still got the pencil though, to this particular format and needing to bring that in a little bit. Now on Monday, I discussed setup versus pursuit. And I want to clarify that just in case for anybody who watches the video on the grid and then comes back to the other one. My whole thing, you guys, about the business and the reason why this weekly show, which I'm going to now do starting next week, Monday, Wednesday, Friday at 9 a.m. PST. 9 a.m. Monday, Wednesday, Friday. I'm going to do it 9 a.m. tomorrow. We'll start tomorrow with the 9 a.m. instead of 9:45. You guys have that in email. You have it on the information. But it'll be 9 a.m. starting tomorrow, and then Monday, Wednesday, Friday. You have that. So over the years, the reason I call it The Actor Overcomes in terms of the show, the reason why I put it as the subtitle on my book is really simple. It's simply because in general, I know that our community, inclusive of myself, remember all this is just out of my long career of doing this, we don't, most of us. Now, Will Roberts, a different subject. I had Will on Monday. He's a crazy man like me. And the reality is that we just in general don't like the business. And I think one of the reasons why we may not like the business is because of a couple of different things. One, we didn't get early inception information, certainly not in high school, and for the most part, universities. And then along the way, we've become overwhelmed with something that is really not the reason we do this. We just want to play in the sandbox, man. I mean, I'm a goofball. My global thespians everywhere, we just want to play, and I get it. But unfortunately, if you want to make money at this, you are going to have to put in some time on the business, and the reality of that is there's a lot of misinformation, which is why I started out with setup versus pursuit. And if you have any questions about what I mean by that, after I say this, please feel free to ask them, and I'll try to keep up with them. But the setup are things that we just do in life. I equate everything to life. We do all this stuff already in life that has to do with show business for the most part. We already do it. It's just a matter of applying it to the business of show business in a really much more complex, much more in-depth way than what we're usually told, which is why today I'm going to talk a little bit about the framework of the business, which is why we get lost in that. But the setup is what I just call maintenance stuff. That's just stuff we do to even be in the ballgame. Pursuit is the extra special stuff, the stuff that most people don't talk about. And I try to draw a really simple line. It would be the difference of deciding you want to go on a road trip and you have to put gas in the car because you can't go on the road trip without gas in the car. That's the setup. The pursuit is figuring out a game plan of where you're going to drive and actually executing it. It's the difference of going grocery shopping and just buying groceries, which you have to eat, but then actually going through the execution process of creating something. That's the difference between setup and pursuit when I talk about it, because it's going to come up a lot, guys, in everything that I say. Anybody who knows me from running the Actors Network knows everything gets laced through life. Show business is life. We just didn't get a lot of education on it going back in the day. Again, I'm going to just kind of reset and repeat as more people come in. To have a shot at winning my book, just subscribe to YouTube, The Kevin E, and make a comment on a video, and I'm tracking the names, and I'm going to pull a hat. I'm even going to do a video on it, and I'll give it away tomorrow morning on the show at 9 o'clock. But the framework of the business, to me, is the issue and always has been the issue. Because once we learn the framework of show business, once we learn that, don't misunderstand me, I know some of y'all don't know me, But we tend to think that we then know the business because we know the framework of it. We know the framework of there are agents, there are managers, we're supposed to get one. They're supposed to do their job and get us auditions with and through the casting community. And then we know we should probably have some pictures, we should be in class for the show part, we should get a demo reel, maybe have a website. These days, do some social media. I'm not talking about being an influencer now. I'm just talking about being a scripted on-camera actor or even voiceover. But that's the basic framework of the business. But that's kind of like saying you built a house and you laid the foundation down and you put a bunch of 2x4s up and you framed the house and then you just left it there. Guys, the details, the difficulty of the business. This is why my man Will Roberts is on, and that's why I'm going to do some scenario role playing with him a couple times a month, and also my dear friend Paul Jackson, who worked a ton in commercials, because a lot of times it's hard for us to equate. It's hard for us to connect what we know we've been told. You're supposed to do this, you're supposed to do that, you're supposed to do that, and most of those things are setup things, they're maintenance things. Get new pictures, update your resume, get yourself on casting profiles. Guys, that's all the framework of the business. That doesn't have anything to do with you understanding contracts or knowing what billing is or how the negotiation process for your jobs. And I know a lot of us are like, I start talking that way, and a lot of us just go, but dude, that's why I have an agent. Yeah and no. And let me share with you that understand there's no agent school. There's no management company school. That's why people who, as the phrase goes, sit on a desk at a big, huge agency like CAA or William Morris or even some of the massive boutique companies like Gersh or The Firm or any of those places, you have to have years of experience before they let you be a representative. Why? Because if you don't know all of the stuff you have to know about negotiation and contracts, etc., you could do something with a client that would get them sued. So just understand, no different than actors, and guys, I never mean it in a bad way, we don't have an entry barrier, right? Anybody just wake up one day and go, hey, I'm an actor. And I'm not denigrating that. I'm just saying that we don't have to go to school. You don't technically have to be in class. You don't technically have to do any of those things to call yourself an actor. We used to make a joke about this back in the 90s with people who suddenly started getting into producing. And you'd go to parties in Hollywood and people would be in the corner with a card they got made that said they were a producer, and you'd ask them what they were doing, and this was the common phrase, if you don't know it, was, oh, I have several projects in various stages, which doesn't mean anything. It's just a bullshit statement made at a party. And this, we have to understand as a community, and I care about this professional community. I care about your success, I care about your understanding, I care about your knowledge, and I've been doing it for a long time, so I don't have to spend a lot of time talking about it because my years of doing this since 91 speak for themselves. But you may understand how the general basics of the industry work. I agree with you. The difference is, if you have a demo reel, how are you going to get someone to watch it? And so from Monday's show, just be clear, that's the difference between the setup of having a reel versus the pursuit of having professional individuals, as I always say, legit professionals, globally. Doesn't matter if you're in Sydney, Melbourne, London, Paris, makes no diff. How are you going to get a legitimate professional to watch it? So that's the difference between setup and pursuit. And if anybody has a question, you can put it in there. I'll try and catch it as it goes by in the comment section. And I'll try and get to it. I'll do the bestest as I can. But the framework of it, of this whole industry, the reason why I say we have to overcome it is because we just generally don't want to do it. And what happens to us when we generally don't want to do it is there are steps to all of the things that are no different again than just building a house. You put the frame up and then you get the drywall with the thing and the caulk, and then we got to do some painting, and that's life. That's just what we have to do. And for some reason, we either don't like doing it for the business because it scares us to pursue, and or sometimes we actually utilize the setup part as a way to avoid the pursuit because we continue to redo our resume when we haven't booked anything. We update our website when there's nothing to update. So again, guys, I'm always a little carrot and a little stick. I want you guys to understand exactly what you're going after. We just blindly do electronic submissions now. That's part of the framework of our lives. It used to be that we would send 8x10s in a 9x12 envelope. And everybody says or wants to say, well, the business has changed. Yeah, technology has changed. My man Will Roberts will tell you this. I mean, this is the whole joke of just what is happening COVID and what we're doing now. I mean, if we could turn the camera around in my studio, I mean, all of this stuff I didn't have. Like, Will Roberts was about 10 years ahead of most actors I know in terms of learning everything he needed to learn about being his own studio dude. That's why I have him on this show. That's why he's the host of Film Festival Live. This is a reality that we now live in, and just virtual auditions are something that causes us great consternation. And I assure you, as an elected official in SAG-AFTRA, we are working on trying to get a conformed part of our contract together so that the producers to the casting can start asking us for reasonable things regarding our job interviews. But guys, that's all just the framework. You guys even know this from the show part. Just because you have an audition or just because you get a virtual audition, that's just the maintenance part. The actual work part is what you're going to do with it. So just keep that analogy going in your brain every single time you hear me speak. I hope you come, to every single show as much as you can at 9 a.m. on Monday, Wednesday, Fridays, starting tomorrow. But just always know that the place I'm coming from is I'm either talking about the psychology and the philosophy of pursuing this profession, or I'm talking about complex minutia of the setup, or real specific assessment and execution of the pursuit. That's the framework that I'm always functioning from, because we have our artistic mental health in life. We have all the setup crap that I call have to, need to, because that's what it is. We do it in lives, like, again, taxes and dentist, right? I have a dentist appointment next week. Nobody wants to go to the dentist, man. It's the same thing as like, oh, bro, have you done that master contact list? Have you done your target list? I mean, people just want to go, I'm going to go watch the Olympics. So I get it. But I want to share with you that understanding the framework, which is a lot of what you get in the books that are on the business, and it's a lot of what you get out online. There's not a ton of people that are trying to talk about the business of show business, but there's enough. There are enough out there that there's a good form of potential confusion. And sometimes, be clear, I don't cap on other people, okay? It's just not my way of doing things. So a lot of times it's not misinformation. It's simply what I would say on a particular subject goes to 4 instead of going to 10. And over the course of time, when you watch me do IG Live 3 times a week, you're going to notice I'm not going to jump from 0 to 10 in 2 seconds every time. But over the course of time, what you're going to notice is I'm going to start covering stuff that goes way past the framework. Or as you would say, if anyone's ever built a house or knows construction people or ever has had a remodeling done, I'm going to go from the foundation to the finished carpentry. That's what I'm doing. Because, we talk about getting, take something really simple in terms of the framework of this business, which is a setup thing of, I got to get new pictures. Or I just have to get pictures. It's like, okay. I mean, remember, guys, the Actors Network, we had power groups. We had monthly meetings where people sat around and had to discuss. That's why I always have a pencil. had to write down what they were going to do for their career and the goals they had for the next 30 days. This is part of what made the Actors Network an award-winning organization. It's what made a lot of the industry friends I have, many of which I'm going to eventually have on IG Live. Oh, don't worry, I'm going to be showing up at people's offices. We get past COVID and away we go. We have a lot of things in our head that we don't really consider. And so headshots are one of those things where somebody would go, oh yeah, I got to get new pictures. And I'm like, okay, cool. How much time are you going to put into that? Oh, I'm just going to go pick somebody and a thing and a blah and a whoop-de-doo. And it's like, what do you mean you're just going to go pick somebody? Hey, Tamsu, good to see you. Wow, that's awesome to see you in here. And so they would say about 5 or 6 things. Well, I got to look at my wardrobe, and I got to find a photographer, and then I'm going to have to do the contact sheets, and I have to pick them, and 6 different looks. And I would say to people, yeah, you're right. Those are things you do have to do. Except there's about 67 others you haven't considered yet. And so early into this show, and because I'm going to keep these on my grid, just remember me saying this. I make this comment all the time, and I used to do it in the Actors Network. I do it when I private coach folks. I say this: if I were to follow you around for a week, and I'm saying this because I want you to note this in these first 2 shows regarding the business of business and the actor overcomes it, I want you to keep in mind this statement. If I were to follow you around for a week with a camera, and I make jokes all the time. It's different in this interface, especially people who don't know me real well. Outside the bedroom and bathroom, I'm a smart ass, and I'm right on the edge of inappropriate all the time. But I don't cross the line, and I'm never meaning it that way. But if I were to follow you around in a week, over the course of 4 weeks, just like Ed TV, the old movie back in the day, or anything else, and saw the time code, what would I see you do in pursuing your career? Now that's a generic question. Let me bring it back down to the headshot part. What would I see you do in terms of prepping for getting new pictures? Just as an example of framework and setup versus pursuit. And what I'm sharing with you in that thought, because it's a common thing we've all done, it's something that's an easy item for me to point to in this profession for you to set the table with me and this show or my book, for you to understand the place that I'm always coming from. What I'm going to share with you is, from the time you first say, I need to get new pictures, until the time you get all the way back to, they're done, I've gone through them, my reps have looked at them, my friends have looked at them, my mom has looked at them, and you eventually get to the place all the way done, and you've actually chosen 6 or 7 or 12, and then whatever they are, they're up on your website, on IMDb, they're up on your casting profiles, whatever it may be. What I'm sharing with you is that if you went back and looked, and like a technical manual or instructions in anything, and you noted every single action it took to complete the process of an actor easily saying, yeah, I'm going to get new pictures, there would have been 70 things you had to do. But if I say that out loud, and I say that to you, we just kind of tend to go, like we're already tired. That's why I have coffee. When that happens, we're already tired. We don't really want to think about the fact that the process of getting headshots done could really be 70 actual technical manual instructions of steps to do. But it is. I mean, that's the thing, man. It is. And so this is my stuff about the setup versus pursuit and the framework of the business. Just in a box. Guys, I know we all know that. Again, I'm going to reiterate, reset. If you want to win the book, just either follow me on IG or follow me on YouTube, subscribe, and make a comment on it. And I'm going to collect the names, and I'm going to do a little video of the hat draw, and I'm going to announce it tomorrow at 9 o'clock. So I'm even willing to do it with people that were here last week. If you know people that were here last week that aren't today, not everybody could come in today. And also people, friends, I'm happy to give it away to whomever. I don't care if you live in Paris, I'm good with it. So make sure you tell everybody you know, dude, you want to win it, And I assure you, this is not some regular book on the business of show business, I promise. It makes us tired to think about the stuff that we're supposed to do because we weren't told. This is my thing about the education of pursuing this profession. I used to say all the time, and again, a lot of the stuff I say, guys, it's not intended to upset you. I'm on your side. I want you to win. Trust me. I want you to blow right by my career. It's not meant to depress you, but it is meant to be a bit of a reality check because the world we live in today, this is the thing. Back in the day, you could kind of point to New York and Los Angeles as the places where this conversation meant more than it did other places. But that's not the case anymore, man. It's not. I started my career in Atlanta when Atlanta wasn't what Atlanta is today. I got a lot of friends in Atlanta. But today, there's studios in Baton Rouge. There's studios in Hungary. There's studios everywhere, man. The conversation and what we face as performers, trying to get paid to do this, to be a goofball, which I am, is now, that's why I say global thespians. I mean, I got people everywhere. What we face, what we have to do, yeah, there's a uniqueness to it, to your individual self in doing it. But a lot of the execution effort to do setup and pursuit in the framework of the business of show business is the same everywhere. That's why I love this as an option for me now, as opposed to only being able to speak to those who came into the Actors Network for almost 24 years. So this is part of where I will always be coming from, is you can't just be breathing with a headshot in whatever city you're in. I mean, whatever city that may be. If you're just breathing with a headshot and you're hoping, I still believe in a place called hope, and you're hoping that your representative is doing what they're supposed to do, which I've had 46 of them. Hello. I'm not debating with you whether they are or they are not. Just remember, they only get 10%. And as the old joke goes, that leaves 90 to you. So I've always been the dude who, from way back in the day, deep minutia on, well, what does that 90% mean? What does it really mean? I get agents, managers, casting, demo reel, website, headshots, going to class, social media. I mean, there's like 10 or 12 things, you guys. 10 or 12 things. Hey, what's up, Gina? There are 10 or 12 things that you'll find in every stinking book about the business of show business. All of them. They say basically the same 5 things about the same 10 or 12 things. Just know that's not what you're going to get from me. And I'm doing these first 3 shows with a little bit of kind of bold, big draw lines so you have a sense of me. But the more of us we get on here on a regular basis, and the more insight we give, it's the same thing of what the Actors Network always was, which is help us, help you, help all of us. And yes, I coined that mantra before Jerry Maguire and Tom Cruise, and let's just be clear about that. And more notably, the quote from Eleanor Roosevelt, I believe, is attributed to her, which is, learn from the mistakes of others. You can't live long enough to make them all yourself. And while a great deal of our profession is individual, and it is individual, the truth of the matter is a good percentage of each thing we face. When I start doing role play scenarios on here, which I kind of like to call self-dialogue, when I start doing show business scenarios, you're going to discover that you may have had an individual emotional reaction to that scenario for yourself. But when I process and coach you through how you would handle that scenario, you're going to start to realize that it applies to almost all of us, man. And you want to know why? Because we're people. We're humans trying to take somebody else's words or somebody else's situation and perform it so that the people watching that believe we believe it. Because that's what we do. That's our job. And so a lot of the business stuff, as much as we want to make it just, and it is, your headshots are your headshots, are not mine. I mean, I don't know what the hell's going on with my hair today, but it doesn't matter. It is different. And yet, a lot of it is the same. But a lot of folks don't really talk about the intricate part of this profession. I mean, I got a whole 10P series of videos I'm going to be putting on the website. So be clear that I call the IG live show The Actor Overcomes. And then on YouTube, it's Q-Tips, Kevin E. West, K-E-W-Q. I know, it's like a Q-tip, only it's not. But we call all that over there Q-Tips. Let me reiterate again, because I'm going to always keep these to 30 minutes. Y'all can trust on that. Now again, I'm just going to reset before I finish, because it's getting just at 10:15. 9 o'clock, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, starting tomorrow. So 9 a.m., going to be on. Tell any friends you want to tell. Go to The Kevin E on Instagram and follow me, or go to the YouTube channel, The Kevin E. Subscribe and comment on a video. I'm going to collect all the names. And even if you win it and you have my book, I don't care. Win it. Tell me who you want me to send it to as a gift. I'll sign that too. Happy to send it to whomever. Somebody's getting a book tomorrow. So I'm just going to check YouTube, and I'm going to check my Instagram, and whatever list of names is going in a hat, I'm going to do a little video of the drawing, and I'm going to post it right before I start the show tomorrow. So that's what I'm going to do. So tell your friends, tell your loved ones, tell former actors, current actors, people who've moved to some other part of the world. Let's get everybody on here tomorrow at 9 o'clock. Does anybody have one question before I step off? Because we're right at 30 minutes, and I get really, everybody who knows me, I want you guys to be able to lock in the time and know what you got. Has anybody got a question? I'm looking. Haven't seen one yet, but I'm glad y'all are here. I'm looking. I still haven't seen one. That's okay. You don't have to have questions. It's all right. They may come up. But in the meantime, prep some for tomorrow. And I'm not going to send an email tomorrow. I'm just going to post it on IG. So make sure you have your friends follow there. But just know, 9 o'clock tomorrow, we're doing it. That's it. Hasta. Have a great Thursday, wherever you are.